Is banning the party modes a good idea? Hello, my name is Alex Does F1 Stuff and welcome to another random F1 episode, and today we are looking at the banning of the party modes from Belgium onwards. Just a quick side note before we begin this video, I will be testing different wiggles in this video just to slightly spice it up. Normally I do a slow little pan zoom in to whatever we're looking at, but I will be testing a wiggle 1, and then slightly more wiggles, maybe slightly less wiggles, slightly different wiggles. I'm not quite sure. I'll give it a go. So if you like the addition, please let me know down in the comments below. If you have an improvement, also let me know as well. But with that out of the way, we will start the video on is banning the party mode a good idea? So what exactly is going on? So it looks increasingly certain that a new technical directive applying from the Belgian Grand Prix onwards will be introduced to eliminate the special modes of F1 power units. So since the introduction of the current turbo hybrid era, all the power unit manufacturers have featured settings or modes which can change the power, and these have subsequently been called the party modes. So straight away it is opened up saying that all engine manufacturers have these featured settings. But in a more detailed look, what exactly are they? So qualifying modes make available extra engine revs and the ability to run without harvesting power and diverting it to the battery, thereby allowing maximum deployment of energy recovered via the two recovery systems. These modes also typically run more aggressive ignition timing and fuel mixtures. By contrast, a standard race mode will allow adequate harvesting to keep the battery supplied with energy that can be deployed through the lap, without draining the battery and thereby compromising the following lap. It will also typically run lower maximum revs than the qualifying mode and a setting of ignition timing that keeps the valves and piston crowns at a safer temperature. Typically there are several, up to 9 sometimes, modes which can be between the two extremities. This is all about trading off performance with engine life, reliability and fuel consumption. So in qualifying you basically run at mode 11, maximum mode 11 possible. You turn everything up you can for one lap only, whereas in the race you don't want to run at 11 for one lap only because your next lap will be shit. You will be slow and your average over the 2 laps will be much slower than normal, whereas if you run at mode say 9 or 10 over 2 laps you will be much quicker. So what exactly are they changing? So previously the qualifying and overtake modes would have a time limit per event imposed on them by the engine manufacturer so as to keep the power unit within its usage life. A letter sent to the teams at Barcelona suggests that a subsequent technical directive will require the power unit to be run in the same single mode during qualifying and the race. This is yet to be confirmed by the technical directive itself. So unfortunately for us fans, technical directives are not made public unless they are leaked, like the one in the middle which was used in the Haas penalty. If you remember that, I did make a little video about that. It's a bit annoying as we won't know exactly what has happened unless it gets leaked by somebody. But the main difference that this has outlined and why they're changing it is that the time limits are different per engine manufacturer. So an engine that has more reliability will be able to run the mode for longer compared to a team that has less reliability. They will still have access to the same mode, they just won't be able to run it for as long, which is why they are now implementing a change. And so what will be the impact of this change? To assist the policing, the FIA has to police a number of power unit parameters through very detailed data analysis, and it is felt that this directive will help them achieve that and have more confidence of power unit legality as a result. Of course, a consequence of the move would be to clip the wings of the power unit, which shows the biggest boost between normal and qualifying modes. At this point that's believed to be Mercedes, with Ferrari now showing the least difference between the two modes, with Renault and Honda sitting in the middle. The move would save expensive development programs for Honda, Renault and Ferrari at a time when the FIA is actively trying to close down the cost drivers. As a downside, it would reduce the differences in power at any given moment between two dicing cars. Often the passing in hybrid era comes from one driver forcing another to use up his energy stored defensively, then having none left as the attacking driver deploys. So the main impact, as stated here, is kind of two, really. It's an expensive development program, and they're hoping to reduce said cost expenditures, but also it is to clip the wings of Mercedes and hopefully bring down that gap a little bit further. But in conclusion, what this is all saying is there is not going to be a ban on party modes. They are simply stating that you must run the same mode in qualifying and in the race. So you can quite happily run your party mode in the qualifying if you like, but you've then got to be able to use that qualifying mode in the race for the whole race duration. Which, in my opinion, is kind of slightly killing innovation, as teams will no longer pursue the minute gains that they can make to improve their qualifying modes, to improve their party mode, or maybe even just their race mode in general. They won't be able to pursue that, as there's no point in running mode 11 in qualifying, because you're going to have to run mode 11 in the race, which is not viable. But it will save some teams a lot of money. It will save Mercedes money in spending so much in developing a supreme engine that is able to beat everybody. It will then save Renault, Honda and Ferrari money on trying to catch up to Mercedes. So in all honesty, yes, it's a good implementation, but it is bad for the innovation of the sport, which is what this sport is all about, trying to push all possible angles of the technical regulations and push them to the extremes to develop the best car. However, do I think there is going to be a big impact? Ultimately, no. So picture the Mercedes power unit. It is the most reliable so far. It is the quickest so far, as evident by this article. It has the biggest difference between the two modes. So if they decide to reduce their engine power to, say for example, mode 8, these are just arbitrary numbers out of 10. So Mercedes can quite happily run their car at mode 8 during qualifying, and they know that all in their dynamos and everything like that, their engine can quite happily run a full race distance at mode 8. Whereas if, for example, we take Red Bull and their Honda power unit, they may be able to run quite happily mode 8 during qualifying, but they know in themselves, in their power units, they won't be able to run mode 8 during the full race distance because the risk of reliability issues will dramatically increase. So they will have to reduce it to 7. So they are sacrificing race pace because they know that they won't be able to last, which will cause a big disparity in engine performance. But conversely, it could also mean a possible shake-up in qualifying. I'm kind of picturing in my head a team like Red Bull or a team like McLaren, say, perhaps, that go into qualifying, increase their mode a little bit more, knowing that the race risk is going to increase, that they may have an engine issue, but they're going to give that risk a shot. A slightly lower team will do that, and in doing so, they're going to qualify quite well. They are then going to be first and second, be first and third, or wherever it is in the top 5, and they're then going to have a quicker car in the race, but they may have to manage slightly more issues, possibly overheating, things like that. Whereas, say, for example, Mercedes, they choose a slightly lower engine mode because they know they're more comfortable in that mode, that they can push their car hard in that mode. I don't know. Is that really going to be an affecting issue? I'm not 100% sure. Ultimately, I kind of think it's a bit of a fruitless effort at clipping the wings of Mercedes, if you want to use that phrase. Ultimately, it's good for cost. It is very good for cost because it's going to stop this huge spiral of Mercedes spending lots of money to pull an advantage and then everybody else spending even more money to try and catch up to them. So yes, that's definitely a positive, but it is bad for, like I've said, innovation, that you're no longer going to get people thinking and improving. You're just going to get people playing it safe and not implementing the risky strategies that they could. And then looking at the reliability state that we're in, it may not even have an effect on the race, as Mercedes could run at engine mode 8 for the whole duration of the race, whereas Red Bull or Honda, Renault and Ferrari, for example, may only be able to run at maximum 7 for the whole duration of the race, in which case we will still see the same modes or same finishing positions that we see today. In my opinion, the easiest way to fix this would have just been to implement a fixed time, an FIA issued fixed time that you can use your maximum engine mode for. So, for example, if Mercedes have an engine mode that is far better than everybody else, that they're able to run for longer than anybody else, don't make them run it for as long. Yes, they're allowed to run it because they developed it, they made it, it's perfectly legal, they're able to do that. But just don't let them run it for as long. Compared to, say, Renault, which their party mode may not be as strong, but now the gap isn't going to be so exponential to Mercedes because they can run it at the same time. So I think that personally would have been a slightly better choice for the FIA on that one. But that is all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed, and if you have any suggestions of random F1 videos you'd like me to pursue, any ideas of your own that you'd like me to turn into a video, please let me know down in the comments below. And also, if you have any suggestions for videography improvements, how to make them slightly better, again, please let me know down in the comments below. But that's all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next video with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.